Celine, squeeze my hand. Squeeze my fingers for me. Good.
Voice could stop time. For decades, Celine Dion has been the soundtrack to love, loss, and hope, earning her the crown as the Queen of Power Ballads. From sold-out arenas to record-breaking Las Vegas residencies, she built an empire that turned her voice into a fortune beyond imagination. But behind the glittering lights was a life carved from sacrifice, saying goodbye to loved ones, carrying the weight of unimaginable grief, and now battling a rare disease that threatens to silence her forever. Yet, her most powerful legacy isn't just the wealth she leaves behind. Today, we uncover Celine Dion's staggering empire and the heartbreaking truth that will move you to tears.
And then you panic, so more you panic, more you spasm, more you...
To truly understand the scale of what Celine Dion leaves behind, you have to understand how she built her incredible fortune. This didn't happen overnight, and it wasn't the result of one viral hit. Her empire is the product of decades of relentless hard work, unmatched talent, and some seriously smart business moves. It all began with that voice. You know the one. So powerful it can make grown adults cry in seconds. That voice carried her from a tiny home in Charlemagne, Quebec, to the world stage. Over the course of her career, Celine has sold more than 250 million albums worldwide, cementing her status as one of the best-selling music artists of all time. She has released an astonishing 27 studio albums, 7 live albums, and 20 compilation albums. Among them, Falling Into You and Let's Talk About Love stand out, not just as hits, but as historic achievements. Each of these albums sold more than 30 million copies worldwide, making her the first woman in history to have 2 albums reach that incredible milestone. Of course, these albums weren't just numbers on a chart. They generated a continuous flow of royalties thanks to timeless hits like My Heart Will Go On, The Power of Love, and countless others. Even today, these songs earn her millions every year, forming a solid foundation for the empire she's built. But the real turning point came far from the recording studio on the glittering stages of Las Vegas. In 2003, she launched her first residency, A New Day, and many were skeptical. Why would a global superstar anchor herself in one city? It seemed risky, even strange. But the gamble paid off spectacularly. That residency alone grossed an unbelievable $385 million. Her second residency, Celine, which ran from 2011 to 2019, added another $296 million. Altogether, her 2 residencies sold more than 4.5 million tickets and grossed a jaw-dropping $681 million over 16 years. At some shows, she reportedly earned $500,000 per performance. Beyond personal wealth, these residencies revitalized Las Vegas itself, changing how the city viewed live music and residency shows forever. Celine didn't stop there. Her global tours were equally massive. The Taking Chances World Tour in 2008 and 2009 alone grossed $279 million. Pollstar, the authority on concert revenue, places her in the rare group of artists who have crossed the $1 billion mark in career tour earnings, a feat only a handful of musicians achieve. What sets Celine apart, though, isn't just her music or tours, it's her business savvy. Guided for decades by her late husband and manager, René Angelil, she built an empire that stretches far beyond the recording studio. She co-owned Les Productions Feeling Inc., her own management company. She launched restaurants in Canada, became a co-owner of Montreal's legendary Schwartz's Deli, invested in a golf course, and even helped run the Pure nightclub at Caesar's Palace. Her fragrance line, launched with Coty Inc. in 2003, became a huge success and her handbag collection raked in more than $10 million in its first few releases. Her real estate portfolio is just as impressive. From a private island mansion in Quebec to a sprawling estate in Florida complete with a water park, Celine's properties reflect the grandeur of her career. Every aspect of her fortune, record-breaking album sales, historic residencies, global tours, smart investments, and incredible real estate, was meticulously built over decades. And yet, what makes these numbers truly staggering is knowing where she came from. From a cramped home as the 14th child of a struggling family to commanding stages that could hold tens of thousands, Celine's journey to wealth is almost unimaginable. But all the money, fame, and awards couldn't erase the struggles that shaped her, the sacrifices she made, or the battles she fought behind the scenes. So, how did the girl from Quebec, born into such humble beginnings, transform into a woman whose fortune now reaches into the hundreds of millions? And at what cost? It's hard to imagine being born into a world filled with music, yet completely starved of almost everything else. Céline Marie Claudette Dion entered the world on March 30th, 1968, in Charlemagne, a tiny working-class town in Quebec. She was the youngest of 14 children, a household brimming with song, laughter, and chaos, but empty of comfort and stability. The house was alive with melody, but it was the kind of music that echoed off bare walls and empty cupboards. There was rarely enough food, never enough space, and warmth was a precious luxury. Her first crib wasn't a crib at all. It was a drawer, pulled from a cabinet and lined with whatever blankets her parents could spare. In that small drawer, a baby with an extraordinary voice clung to the only thing she had: music. Her father, a butcher by trade, and her mother, Thérèse, a homemaker with a relentless spirit, ran a tiny piano bar called Le Vieux Baril. It was a modest establishment where locals gathered for a drink and a song, but behind the laughter and clinking glasses, life was a daily struggle. And yet, this was where Celine's extraordinary story began to unfold. Music wasn't just a pastime, it was survival, expression, and hope. Every member of the Dion family sang, but from the moment she could stand, little Céline seemed to transform the sound around her. Her mother quickly noticed that while her other children were talented, Céline was different. There was a rare clarity and intensity in her voice, a depth that felt almost too large for her tiny frame, a sorrow that seemed to whisper of life beyond her years. By the age of 12, Celine's talent had already started to crystallize. With her mother and her brother Jacques, she wrote her first song, Ce n'était qu'un rêve, it was only a dream. And while it might have been a dream for others, Thérèse recognized it as a calling. She did something that would change the course of Celine's life. She wrapped a cassette tape of her daughter singing, carefully labeled, and sent it to René Angelil, a well-known manager with a reputation for spotting exceptional talent. It was a bold move, a shot in the dark, but Thérèse had heard what many others had missed. In her daughter's voice, she heard the future, a voice that could move millions if only the world would listen. But even as Celine's voice soared, the path ahead was anything but easy. That small town in Quebec could not contain her talent, but the outside world was full of skepticism. Here was a girl who had grown up in poverty, with no connections, no industry contacts, just raw talent, determination, and a mother willing to risk everything. Each step forward was a battle. Every audition, every recording session, every tiny victory came against a backdrop of doubt, struggle, and sacrifice. And it was precisely that struggle, that early life of scarcity and resilience, that shaped the woman who would one day command stadiums, sell out residencies in Las Vegas, and become one of the richest entertainers on the planet. The voice that would later bring millions to tears was born in a drawer, nourished on hardship, and polished by relentless determination. Yet behind the glittering fortune and sold-out arenas, Celine now faces battles that no amount of talent or money can fully shield her from. For someone whose life has been a symphony of applause, glittering stages, and sold-out arenas, Celine Dion's latest battle is invisible, relentless, and deeply personal.
Brian, I need you right now. She's in a crisis.
In December of 2022, she broke a silence that had lasted over a decade, sharing a raw, unfiltered video with the world. In it, she revealed a diagnosis that would shake anyone to their core: stiff person syndrome, or SPS, a neurological disorder so rare it is believed to affect just 1 in a million people. It is incurable, progressive, and cruelly unpredictable, striking at the very muscles and nerves that allow humans to move, speak, and, for someone like Celine, to sing. For years she had suffered in private, a secret wrapped in the armor of her legendary performances.
Every time something like this happens, it makes you feel so embarrassed and so like, I don't know how to express it, like it's just, you don't like to not have control of yourself, you know?
She revealed that the first signs appeared as far back as 2008. It began subtly, with vocal spasms that made singing a challenge, though she brushed them off at first. But over time, the disease tightened its grip. Muscle stiffness became constant, making walking feel like a battle against her own body. The slightest stimulus, a loud clap, a touch, even a burst of laughter, could trigger spasms so severe that bones broke and ribs fractured. Celine herself admitted she had suffered multiple broken ribs from the violent convulsions. For a performer whose life was defined by the power and freedom of her voice, the condition was devastating. Singing, which once felt as natural as breathing, became a sensation she described as somebody strangling you. Each note, each phrase, was a negotiation with her own body. Yet, for years, she hid the truth. Behind the sequined gowns, the towering heels, and the dazzling lights, she relied on ever-increasing doses of medication, like Valium, just to make it through performances. The burden of secrecy weighed heavily until it became unbearable. The physical struggle was only part of the story. Celine's life has always been punctuated by tragedy. Her greatest love, her husband and manager René Angelil, was diagnosed with throat cancer.
Because I saw him suffer. And that is the worst.
In 2014, she paused her career to care for him, putting their life together on hold. René passed away in January of 2016, and heartbreak struck again when her brother Daniel died just 2 days later, also from cancer. Yet, her resilience shone through. Weeks later, she returned to her Vegas stage, not for herself, but for her children, to show them that life could continue, even in the wake of unimaginable loss. Now, facing her own health crisis, Celine's focus has shifted entirely to her 3 sons. She has been candid about her limitations. I barely could walk at one point. My kids started to notice. I was like, okay, they already lost a parent. I don't want them to be scared. She promised them, you lost your dad, but mom has a condition. I'm not going to die. It's something that I'm going to learn to live with. This promise has become her compass, guiding every decision she makes, from treatment to family life.
Magnificent kids, so much knowledge, stability, and confidence.
But the stakes are higher than just health. When a fortune and a legacy like Celine Dion's are involved, planning becomes an art in itself. This isn't just about money or property. It's about ensuring that decades of hard work, sacrifice, and brilliance continue to resonate long after the curtain falls. Every note she's sung, every Las Vegas residency, every international tour ticket, and every dollar earned carries weight. Every decision about her estate must be precise, deliberate, and unshakable. It's as if she's composing one last symphony, a plan that harmonizes her life, her family, and her legacy into something lasting. Celine's net worth has been estimated at around $400 million, though some sources put it even higher. That fortune comes from record-breaking albums, sold-out concerts, residencies in Las Vegas that drew millions, and business deals spanning decades. But for Celine, the numbers are only a part of the story. The real purpose behind all this planning is her 3 sons, her life's most treasured audience. Every clause in her estate plan, every financial move, is designed to protect them, guide them, and ensure they grow up with the tools to manage both wealth and legacy without losing themselves. The weight of this empire will one day rest on the shoulders of René Charles, Nelson, and Eddie Angelillo. They are the reason this plan exists. They are the center of Celine's world, the heartbeat that keeps her pushing forward despite her battle with stiff person syndrome. René Charles Angelillo, born in 2001, is her eldest. He has lived much of his life in the public eye, sometimes thrust into it unexpectedly. He famously stood beside his mother when she accepted the Billboard Icon Award just months after his father passed in 2016. Today, he is stepping into adulthood with his own ambitions, releasing rap and hip-hop music under the name Big Tip. While he's forging his own path, he may also carry a sense of duty within the family empire. Sources suggest Celine's plan may even envision a future role for him as a family consultant to the trustees, helping guide decisions and honor his father's memory. Then there are the twins, Nelson and Eddie, born in 2010. Their names pay tribute to heroes close to their parents' hearts. Nelson Mandela, a symbol of courage and justice, and Eddie Marnay, the French record producer, who played a pivotal role in shaping Celine's early career. They were only 5 when their father passed, leaving their mother to navigate grief while shielding them from the harsh glare of fame. Celine has carefully structured her estate plan to protect them from the pressures of wealth. Their access to funds will be tightly controlled, focused on education, personal growth, and opportunities that shape character rather than entitlement. Parenting, for Celine, is the foundation of the future she's building. She has always fought to create normalcy for her children amidst a life of global attention. Now, she is preparing them not just to inherit wealth, but to inherit resilience, compassion, and the ability to handle the extraordinary legacy she leaves behind. She has shared her struggles with stiff person syndrome openly, showing them that strength isn't the absence of pain, it's the courage to move forward despite it. Here's the truth that's easy to overlook if you only look at the numbers. The real inheritance Céline Dion will leave behind can't be measured in dollars. It's not the mansions, the music catalog, or even her rare collectibles that define her legacy. It's the values she's lived, the lessons she's passed on, and the unbreakable bond she has built with her 3 sons. The fight against cystic fibrosis became personal when her niece, Karine, tragically passed away from the disease at just 16. That loss sparked a lifelong mission. In 1998, she and René founded the Céline Dion Foundation, dedicated to helping sick and underprivileged children. Over the years, her generosity has reached far and wide. When Hurricane Katrina devastated the Gulf Coast, she donated $1 million to help victims rebuild their lives. It's almost certain that her estate plan includes major provisions to continue these charitable efforts, ensuring that even long after she's gone, her giving spirit lives on. This isn't just about money. It's a moral lesson for her sons, that wealth carries responsibility. But perhaps the most powerful inheritance Celine will leave is her example of resilience. The world watched her endure unimaginable grief when Renee passed away. And now, as she battles stiff person syndrome, she faces yet another trial. By allowing her struggle to be shared in the documentary I Am, Céline Dion, she transforms personal pain into a beacon of hope. She teaches her sons and the world what true courage looks like. It's not about avoiding pain. It's about continuing to fight, to find purpose, and to live fully, even when life feels unbearable. So yes, her estate plan is a brilliant financial blueprint, but it is also a moral roadmap. The houses, the music rights, and the investments are just material. The true inheritance is the lesson Celine has embedded into her sons' lives: strength, compassion, humility, and the relentless work ethic that built her empire from humble beginnings. Her life has been a testament to facing poverty, grief, and debilitating illness with grace. That is the legacy that will endure, far beyond the spotlight, far beyond the money, a legacy that her sons will carry forward in spirit, character, and heart. Céline Dion's empire isn't just wealth, it's a life lived with purpose, love, and courage. And that is the inheritance that will truly go on forever. If you were moved by Celine's story and want to see more about how icons protect their legacies, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring you these incredible stories.